This might not be the shortest video I ever put out there on the internet, but I assure you it's going to be one of the most important. One of the things we set out to do when we built Aware was really to help figure out a way to uplift and empower the voice of the frontline employee. We felt strongly that the greatest asset at every organization was the employee base. And we also felt they were really one of the most ignored. We had a tendency at big enterprises and even smaller companies to pay more attention to our own infrastructure and our servers and have continuous ways to really understand what that data and those environments were telling us. But we didn't have the best tooling in place to really understand continuously what our workforce cared about, what their great ideas were, what their great concerns were. And as a society, we have a tendency to rely on surveying. And that's a decent answer, but we think it only represents a part of the story. We think there's a more continuous and better way to really tap into the mindset of the workforce to ultimately extract ideas, manage risk, and build a much more incredible company, a company that's more profitable, a company with greater employee satisfaction and even improved customer satisfaction. And I'm about to show you what I think is one of the greatest inventions we've ever built at Aware. And I think you're going to be blown away by its capabilities. So you're going to want to stick with me. Imagine if you had your own ChatGPT, and I'm sure I just caused a ton of people who are watching this to say, oh my God, ChatGPT, that scares me because I'm worried about data loss, I'm worried about risk, I'm worried about all this stuff. I don't want my employees maybe using that. But stay with me. Imagine if you had your own ChatGPT that was built and managed only from your own data. Didn't look at the entire internet. It didn't, have models that essentially stole your data and went out there and represented answers from training that it pulled from the latest Wikipedia articles. It was literally only looking at your own interactions, your own unstructured data sources to be able to answer questions about your business that you care about, any question that you could ask it, and be able to get an answer that was only scoped to the data that you should have access to. Meaning you shouldn't be able to see things that, or get answers to questions that maybe you wouldn't normally have access to on the back end. What if there was an environment that could actually really just be representative of that? I think that would be the ultimate environment, perhaps maybe the most transformational technology built for businesses around the globe. And I'm about to show you that. We've built it at Aware, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. And this is going to be as real as it can get, right? We're calling this AskIQ. And in the examples that I'm about to walk you through, let me set some context. AskIQ today in this demo experience is using real data. The data that we're pulling into this environment is public Reddit data. So you can get access to it, I can get access to it, it's all over the internet. But it's the Reddit data for particular companies. So you can find the same things that I can find. In this example, we're gonna look at Lowe's, one of the greatest companies out there in the home space, right? You got Home Depot, you got Lowe's, you got other brands overseas, but we're gonna look at Lowe's. And particularly, the way to understand how AskIQ works is we've built several models that is using retrieval augmented generation to be able to summarize a broad set of communications in real time and be able to answer your questions about that data. So it's effectively giving you the ability to have a real-time conversation with thousands of employees at the exact same time, asking them any question. That could be questions about the business, what's working, what's not working, et cetera. It's all there. And so we're going to show some examples right now of the power of this capability based upon the real-time interactions that are happening across just Lowe's employees that are chatting on Reddit using summarized AI to be able to answer those. So let's think of any particular question. Like the first question maybe we'll ask is, what is top of mind for the frontline employees of Lowe's today? Right? So I'll just ask that question. You'll start to see the experience is very similar to a ChatGPT-like experience. But what it's doing behind the scenes is the real power and value. It's taking all those interactions that it's seen over the last many, many months across Reddit from those employees, and it's summarizing, and it's able to give you an answer based upon the questions you've asked. So you could see there's some concerns and challenges and issues that employees are talking about. Burnout, they're feeling undervalued and underappreciated. Constant customer complaints, criticisms, frustration, all the stuff that you might expect And it's interesting and it's powerful to have this data summarized, but it's not as powerful as perhaps being able to extract recommendations from the frontline employees themselves as to how to improve this. So let's continue the conversation and say, what recommendations do, you're going to catch me make typos here, right? What recommendations do employees have to improve the overall experience today? So let's see what they say. So now we should be able to compare relative to the question I just asked with what employees are talking about and summarized again using artificial intelligence here, the set of answers based upon the context of the discussion. So you can see genuinely investing in people. Employees believe that investing in their training, development, payroll will drive sales and make the company a great place to work, providing personalized recommendations, encouraging employee satisfaction, offering better compensation, fostering a positive work environment. These are all things that have been discussed among Lowe's employees that relate to the question that was asked. Let's get a little bit more specific to show you the power of this capability. Again, if people are discussing it at scale, or if you connected a data source into this, think maybe even your own surveys that you've run out and put out to your employee base, and it's got all this open-ended text feedback. You can run that through AskIQ, Aware's capability, and be able to converse with that data in a summarized way. Let's get really specific. Let's think, let's go a little bit more on the negative side. So what are some of the workplace hazards that employees feel are going unaddressed today? So let's just ask that. This, you might not know, right? Like you're a leader, the company might be performing well, and you might have some visualizations as to what the greatest risks are that are self-reported, but oftentimes people discuss these things and don't report them on systems. So let's see what people are saying. So poor working conditions, such as inadequate cleaning and disinfecting. This was clearly related to the COVID-19 pandemic, as they're talking about lack of protection for employees' health and safety, PPE, inadequate staffing, unfair treatment, inadequate communication, outsourcing of jobs, unrealistic expectations. Again, another particular COVID-19 related sort of comment there, inadequate training, discrimination, and undertreatment of certain employees. So just generalized feedback based upon the context of communications. Let's look at Lowe's versus Home Depot. For those that might not know, Home Depot in 2022, so going back a few years, more revenue than Lowe's. I haven't looked at the latest financial reports to know what it is as of recently, but Home Depot had been outperforming Lowe's in terms of revenue. What do we think employees think are ideas that could be implemented, maybe drive greater revenue for Lowe's? So let's ask that question. Maybe more specifically, why do employees feel Lowe's is generating less revenue than Home Depot? And what recommendations do they have to improve sales in 2024? Let's ask the question. Let's see what it says, right? Based upon provided context, it appears employees at Lowe's feels the company is generating less revenue due to these factors. Let's see. Poor planning and decision-making by management. Employees suggest that Lowe's starting pay could be higher. It looks like Home Depot might have starting pay that's a little bit higher than Lowe's. Lack of customer service focus. Employees believe that the customer service should be top priority. Identical products with different level of customer service to improve sales, improve customer service. We're starting to see a trend here, right? Increased starting pay. Learn from Home Depot. So interesting, right? And you can get more specific and drive into each one of these particular areas to see generally what people are thinking about. So let's go ahead and ask another question now. What are the current perceptions of Lowe's leadership by frontline employees? Let's see what the frontline employee base today is thinking about Lowe's leadership. We saw some of the trends earlier. We could probably speculate as to what the answer might be. And you can start to see here a little bit of a negative perception, right? Some even describing leadership as dumb, arrogant, having zero training and troubleshooting and problem solving. And additionally, there are allegations of Lowe's leadership openly discussing and berating employees, treating employees poorly, et cetera. So this data is obviously incredibly powerful and meaningful to the frontline employee base, but it can't go ignored, right? You got to think about how do you understand what's being said, and how do you interpret it, and how do you dig into it, and how do you ultimately drive change from it in a more continuous manner. Let's think about how do we end on a positive note. Let's look across the employee base today, and let's ask them, what do employees love about the culture of Lowe's? Like, let's just get to the specifics here. They love the culture of Lowe's for several reasons. The atmosphere is chill. It's inviting, with a focus on helping customers and supporting each other. The store is allowed to operate with a high degree of autonomy, which allows employees to have more control over their work and the decisions that benefit customers. Team-based structure encourages collaboration, appreciate the opportunity to learn new things. Store offers employees the opportunity to work with a diverse group of people, et cetera, et cetera. You can see there is always information that's sitting within the walls of your environment that, when understood in a continuous real-time manner, if you can really just uplift this, if you can pay attention to it, if you can invest in these particular areas, you can drive the build out of a greater business. So I'm excited about this capability. I hope you understand the breadth of its power and what you're able to do. And remember, scope to only your data and only able to answer questions that you would ask it, and only would be able to provide you access to data that you would have access to. So completely different than ChatGPT, all in your own environment. So I hope you want to dig in further. I hope you want to spend some more time with us. We're excited about this capability. We think it's going to drive tremendous change across the employee experience and customer experience space. And we'd love to show you more. So thank you for listening. I know it wasn't the shortest video in the world, but we do think it's worth spending some extra time on this. So I hope to see you all very, very soon.